Hello, so that was Hackney Council again. Just needed to answer that and confirm a few details about moving from the flat. But yeah, what I was going to say just before Hackney called again was, sorry, so just before the phone went again, I had to end the live stream. I was about to ask the question, on a spiritual level, if I was to tune in right now and into the consciousness waves, oh, you can't see me, I'm at an angle. There we go. So if I was to tune into the consciousness waves and say to you, what sort of spiritual subject matter would you like to hear, if anything at all? Because ultimately I don't really care what I speak about. It's all kind of interesting to me, and you know, if I could customize it for other ears, it would be, well, that would be even more preferable for myself. But I'll give a few minutes. I'll talk about something, anything, until something just clicks and I start talking about a spiritual topic. But maybe what I'll do is explain to you how I talk about spirituality, because you might think, well, how can you just talk about anything, man? You're not enlightened, you're not no guru, but you can talk about any spiritual subject matter. That doesn't make sense, does it? How is that possible? Well, the first way is, for many years, it was all it's still all I do, it's still all I think about. But in the years when I was developing, so we're talking about from mid to late teens, then into my 20s, then through my mental health disorder, and now into my 30s, I've just tried to understand the world. And I believe it's spiritual at its core, has a spiritual past. And all I've done is, as I've taken information over those years, I've just tried to piece it together into the world's biggest jigsaw puzzle of, well, I don't know what you'd call it, lies? Because how is it possible that we have a spiritual past and are living these modern times without spirituality, spiritualless? There's got to be something going on, right? Well, either way, I have many ideas what could have led to that. I don't know which is true, but I see the possibilities. So what I do, I'll have a think about it. So this is how I develop my spiritual awareness. It's like this, what I'm explaining to you right in this moment can really be applied to any idea, any spiritual idea, anything you want to know about spiritually. And what I'll do, so for instance, how is it that we've got to modern times and we have no collective awareness of our spiritual heritage, our spiritual past, other than, well, Egypt existed once upon a time and they had pyramids, and well, ancient Greece existed once upon a time and they had, well, to be honest, from what we're fed of ancient Greece, it doesn't actually sound too spiritual. But then you've got, you know, the ancient Vedas, they're all about spirituality. You've got the I don't know what period to describe it as such the same way, but obviously the Chinese had their flourishment. You've got the Mayans and the South Americans who've got a spiritual past. You've got the North Americans, the Red Indians who are spiritual now. You've got the Tibetans. You've got all of these different people, and it's there in our past. Like, this is where we came from, man. This was the consciousness a few thousand years ago. Like, wherever you look on the planet, it was like had a spiritual connection. And you want to tell me that we've all come together and forgot our spirituality somehow? Okay. So I just state how it is, and it doesn't quite make sense to me. Then I can have a think about what possible ideas could have given rise to this madness. And I just keep thinking about it. I keep making different ideas. How do I feel about it? Do the facts add up? You know, if it's, have we been invaded by aliens? Have we experienced a collective amnesia due to the Ark of the Covenant being released? Have we been invaded by aliens in a negative way? Have we been invaded by aliens in a positive way? Did we go to war with each other and, you know, do it to ourselves? Who knows what the truth is, but I keep asking the question because the question needs to be asked. Because otherwise, what we doing in this world, man? We're not living the lies, are we? It's impossible to live for a lie, isn't it? Because somewhere behind that lie is the truth of, well, I'd rather live this lie because of X. And this lie makes sense to live going forward. But that's truth, isn't it? You're not lying. You're lying to yourself in the final action, but if you're truthful to yourself as to why you're lying, there is only truth behind it. It makes sense to lie to ourselves sometimes because of the world, because of life. Just be honest, why are we lying? And we find our own truth as to our own interaction to life, don't we? Our own insanity, our own personal insanity to the collective insanity that's forced upon us. But in understanding our own personal insanity, we also understand our own personal truth. And it's important. But either way, I just like spirituality. It makes sense to me. I can't remember, I don't really want to think about it now, what was the original reasoning. I just know I like spirituality, and I believe it's true. I have my own personal experience that says it is true. So I persist in my questioning, and that's all it is to be childlike in your questions to life. I haven't stopped that. So what I do is, in all of those questions, they can create pictures of reality dependent upon, it's like, as I said, I ask questions all the time. And it's like saying, okay, well, we don't know why we're experiencing this collective modern day times without our spiritual past being present with us. We don't know that. But we've asked many questions and we've got many possible answers, and it's like picking one of the answers and saying, okay, well, this I really resonate with this for whatever reason. It really sounds like it's got some truth in there. And being brave to say, well, if this is true, for instance, if the answer to this question is true, how do all the answers to the other questions look in turn? And in doing so, you can gauge pictures of reality that can shift and manipulate into really complex ideas. So, like, in other words, you're saying, well, if this answer was true to this question, how does that affect the other possible answers to all of the other possible questions? And you can instantly gauge complex ideas and complex perceptions of reality with the simple question, if this is true, what does that mean for everything else? And in that way, that's all I'm doing with what I've stated now. So if I get an inkling, like, let's talk about, so I was going to talk about my cousin and how I believe he's the reincarnation of somebody and how that could possibly affect humanity as a whole. That's what I was going to talk about. So all I'm doing is entertaining that idea as truth in the moment and constructing a whole story based upon all of the other questions and all of the other answers and all the other spiritual food and information I have learned over my life, and just keep talking as if that is the ultimate truth. And everything else just falls into place. You know, it's like there's no great thinking that needs to take place. It's just like the picture rejigs all by itself. So that's all I would do if you wanted to have your input on a consciousness level. Or say you wanted to talk about, they were talking about electric cars on the news just now, and well, if you wanted to talk about electric cars in terms of spirituality, that's all I would do. Start speaking about electric cars as a truth. Obviously it would have some question on that, so there's a perspective, a filter, a way forward, and I just apply that to everything I know. But I need to sort my battery out because it's not on charge at the moment. It's on 10%. And I'm in the back cabin at the moment without any electricity. The front one has just one 12-volt power supply that I've got connected to a USB power bank. But I haven't got anything in the back room at the moment other than realizing I'm touching a battery. So if I can hook up this battery to some sort of USB charger, then hook it up to you, we're live again. But in that time, I am going to focus on just getting a little bit of work completed. Then I'll check in with you in a little bit, maybe an hour, maybe 15 minutes, who knows, and we'll start a story. So have a little think, have a little you don't need to do more than think. Just know with your intention that thinking is enough to realise, oh, I want to talk about this, and you're instantly connected. And if it's meant to be, the God, the divine angels, energy, consciousness, blah, 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 will get the message to me, and that's what will start coming out of my flipping mouth, because I don't really care as long as it's spiritual and as long as it's connected to my past learnings, which I know is my truth, then that's all that really matters for me. So I'm totally impartial to what spiritual subject matter to talk about, and well, as long as you're impartial, I guess is and even if you're not, I don't really give a shit if you're not impartial. If you really have a desire to speak about something, want me to speak about something, I'm not going to fight you. I'd rather give to you, wouldn't I? Why would I want to make your life any harder because you've got a desire and you shouldn't have desires in this world? Nah, fuck it, man. Know what you want to speak about and just know what you'd want to hear and just be okay with that. Don't fucking fight. Want. I've got beef with fighting want. Anyway.